I was still holding the pie when my father told me not to come home again. It was warm, pecan her favorite. I baked it the night before using Grandma's old recipe, the one with crushed vanilla wafers in the crust and a splash of bourbon she swore by. I'd driven 5 hours through sleet from Kansas City to bring it to her, like I did every year. It was Thanksgiving. I was home. Or so I thought. We hadn't even said grace yet. The turkey hadn't been sliced. The cornbread was still steaming in the ceramic dish shaped like a leaf. I was still standing in the doorway, still smiling, still holding that pie when Dad said, "Give back the $50,000, 0 cents, Marissa. Or don't bother coming home again." At first I thought he was kidding, or testing out some awkward joke. Dad wasn't the dramatic type, and Thanksgiving wasn't our family's battleground. Not until that night. But no one laughed. My cousin Dean stared into his water glass. Aunt Sylvia's jaw was tight. Even Mom, gentle, soft-spoken Mom, wouldn't meet my eyes. I didn't sit. I couldn't. The pie tin suddenly felt like lead in my hands. I glanced down at it, confused, like maybe it could explain what was happening. "Excuse me?" I managed. Dad's mouth was a flat line. "Let's not drag this out. You know what this is about. What exactly are you accusing me of?" That's when Aunt Sylvia finally looked up. Her mascara had run slightly, but her voice didn't shake. "It's about Mom's account. $50,000, 0 cents, vanished last month. Right after you helped her set up online banking," Dean added. My throat went dry. It was true. I had helped Grandma. She was nervous about giving up her paper statements, so I walked her through the app one afternoon, wrote everything down in a floral notebook she kept next to the toaster. That was 5 weeks ago. And now they were saying that was the moment I robbed her? "Do you think I stole from her?" I whispered. Dean wouldn't look at me. The bank confirmed it. The withdrawals were made online. No one else had access. No one else, except me. I looked at Grandma. She didn't flinch. Didn't nod, didn't shake her head, just pressed her napkin to her lips like she might be sick. That's when it sank in. The pecan pie, the sleet-covered drive, the years of tradition. None of it mattered anymore. I wasn't family tonight. I was a suspect. I set the pie down gently on the edge of the granite countertop. The metal tin tapped faintly like punctuation at the end of a sentence. I reached for my coat from the back of the dining chair where I'd draped it earlier. I didn't speak. "You have until Sunday," Dad said behind me, voice low. "Then we go to the lawyer." I didn't cry in the car, didn't scream, didn't pound the steering wheel like they do in movies. I just drove, my coat still half-buttoned, my pie still sitting on their counter, untouched. The streets of Fairview were quiet. Porch lights glowed soft yellow. Paper turkeys decorated window panes. It was Thanksgiving night, and the whole town smelled like nutmeg, stuffing, and peace. Except me. I pulled into the Weatherford Inn on Route 17, a little roadside place I'd passed 100 times but never thought I'd need. The clerk didn't ask questions, just handed me a keycard and wished me a peaceful night. Small mercy. The room smelled faintly of old carpet and microwave butter. I sat on the edge of the bed, boots off, hands still trembling. "Marissa Ellery. I'm 34 years old. I've led forensic audits for some of the largest firms in the Midwest. I've traced embezzlement rings, caught CFOs lying under oath, signed off on audits worth more than my parents' home twice over. And they thought I stole from Grandma. The worst part, I wasn't even shocked. There had been signs. The way Lisa rolled her eyes whenever Grandma mentioned my new role at the firm. Dad's backhanded remarks. "Don't you ever want to live a little?" As if my success was some sort of affliction. Even last Christmas, when I offered to pay for the roof repairs, David muttered something about buying loyalty. I lay back on the scratchy comforter, eyes locked on the ceiling. I tried to retrace every moment I helped Grandma with her banking. The notebook, the drawer, it wasn't even locked. Lisa still lived there. David had a key. Anyone could have opened it. Anyone. I had walked Grandma through the setup, yes, but that didn't make me the only one who knew how to use it. Still, they believed it. Believed I'd waited for her to get sick just to steal from her. $50,000, 0 cents. As if I needed it. As if I ever would. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Lisa. We didn't want it to come to this, but you made it hard to trust you. No happy Thanksgiving. No hope you're okay. Just blame. As if I'd shattered something fragile. As if I owed them the apology. I turned the screen face down. At work, I untangle shell companies, track phony invoices, uncover fraud disguised as oversight. I know the fingerprints of theft, and I know how easily someone can make it look like someone else's fault. And someone had made me the fall girl. I stared up at the ceiling until the motel lights blurred overhead. If they were going to treat me like a criminal, maybe it was time I investigated like one. I woke before dawn. No alarm, just instinct. One thing I've learned chasing financial crime: money doesn't vanish, it moves. The trick is knowing where, and who gains from the disappearance. I poured myself a bitter cup of lobby coffee and opened my laptop on the tiny desk. Our firm had been quietly investigating a string of elder fraud cases. Retirees with modest accounts drained in 3 quick hits, each just below the federal reporting threshold. The same bank kept coming up. Greenwell Mutual. Grandma's bank. I hadn't told my family I was on the internal audit team. It was confidential, but I had access. I messaged Theo, our compliance officer. Just a name. A date range. A branch. Less than an hour later, he sent me a folder. 10 is Whitmore, withdrawal slips, teller logs. 3 withdrawals from Grandma's account, spaced 5 days apart. $20,000, 0 cents. $15,000, 0 cents. $15,000, 0 cents. All done in person. Not online. That was the first crack. They'd accused me of using the app, said I was the only one with access, but if the money walked out with a teller, it wasn't me. I clicked the attached security footage. Low resolution, grainy, but the face walking up to the counter, clear enough. The first video loaded. Greenwell Mutual, October 10th, 2:13 p.m. A woman approached the counter, glancing nervously over her shoulder. Blonde ponytail, gray hoodie, At first I assumed it was a hired decoy, someone paid to impersonate Grandma. But then she stepped closer, lowered her mask to speak to the teller, and I froze. Lisa. Even in grainy footage, I knew that face. I'd watched that face blow out birthday candles, sob into pillows after high school breakups, steal the last muffin on snow days. I knew her down to the way she fidgeted, tapping her fingers in threes when anxious. She handed over what looked like Grandma's ID and signed something. Her signature hadn't changed since sophomore year. I leaned back in my chair, motel light buzzing faintly overhead. They hadn't just stolen the money. They'd orchestrated this. They waited until I set up the online accounts, used that digital footprint as camouflage, then they framed me. Opened the second clip. October 15th. Same bank branch. David. No disguise, no nerves, calm, polished, joking with the teller like he'd done it a dozen times before. He signed something, smiled, nodded. Third video, Lisa again. Same hoodie, different sunglasses. More confident this time. My stomach turned. But something still didn't add up. How did they get the ID and bank details? Then I remembered. 2 weeks before I helped Grandma digitize her finances, she had a routine hospital visit. Just scans. Lisa had volunteered to stay overnight with her, and Grandma's purse was with her the whole time. Her checkbook, her driver's license, her printed bank statements. That's where it started. But it didn't stop there. I reviewed the metadata from the banking app setup. The first login after I'd returned to Kansas City didn't come from Grandma's phone. It came from a tablet on the home Wi-Fi. Same IP address Lisa used for her Netflix marathons. And the one-time passcode? Sent to a backup email. I didn't register. I traced it, the recovery number of it. They weren't just desperate, they were bold, arrogant. They assumed no one would question it, especially not when the golden child made such an easy target. I closed the laptop. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't family friction. It was fraud. They'd used my love for Grandma as a smokescreen. I zipped up my laptop bag and reached for my phone. Not to call the police. Not yet. Instead, I called the office. Asked Theo for one more thing. Printed teller signature logs. I'd need those for the side-by-side comparisons. Then I slid open my suitcase and pulled out a slim black presentation folder, the kind I'd used in court during high-stakes fraud cases. If they wanted to cast me as the villain, fine. I'd show them what it looks like when the villain keeps receipts. I didn't call ahead. I drove back to Fairview on Monday afternoon, right as the sun dipped into that late autumn glow, the golden hour that once made this street feel like magic. It didn't feel like home now. The driveway was full. David's SUV, Lisa's compact, Grandma's old Buick. No guests, just family. I parked at the curb, let the engine tick down as my hands rested on the leather folder in my lap, full of timestamps, teller logs, security stills. Every lie they thought would fade unnoticed. Then I stepped out. I walked up the porch steps and let myself in. No knocking, not this time. The scent of rosemary and broth drifted from the kitchen. I heard forks tapping ceramic. Low conversation. A laugh that used to belong to us all, but didn't anymore. I found them gathered around the kitchen island. Lisa perched on the counter like a kid again, mug in hand. David stood near the fridge, arms folded. Grandma stood quietly at the sink, drying a dish like muscle memory. Dad stirred a pot. Back to me. Then they all looked up, and everything stopped. No one spoke. I walked to the island and placed the black folder on the wood where we used to roll out Christmas cookies. I opened it without ceremony. You believed I stole from Grandma, I said quietly. Let me show you what really happened. The air shifted, subtle, like before a storm. First photo, Lisa. Sunglasses, teller counter, signature visible. October 10th. $20,000, 0 cents. Not online, not me. No one moved. Not even Lisa. Second photo, David. Navy sweater, handing over a check. October 15th. $15,000, 0 cents. And I was just getting started. Stick around, because what came next silenced every accusation. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the moment they realized who they were really up against. $15,000, 0 cents, I said, laying the final slip on the counter. My voice trembled. Not from rage, but restraint. These weren't strangers. These were the people I'd made blanket forts with, shared birthday cakes with, trusted. Lisa gripped her mug tighter. Her knuckles turned white. She opened her mouth like she had a defense lined up, then closed it again. I placed the teller slips side by side. Same branch, same signatures. I matched these with your handwriting, Lisa, I said softly, from the sticky note you left on the fridge last week. The one that said, "Don't touch my leftovers." A beat passed. Then finally, Lisa's voice, thinner than I remembered. You went through our stuff? I tilted my head calmly. You went through Grandma's. Grandma reached out, her fingers brushing the edges of the slips. Her eyes flicked over the print, hand trembling slightly. When she spoke, her voice was small. Almost pleading. But the bank said it was online. That's what they assumed, I said. But the withdrawals? Those were done in person. The online activity came later, from a tablet connected to your home Wi-Fi. I looked at David. The recovery email linked to your number, the phone tied to your Netflix profile. The kitchen went still. Dad stopped stirring. Lisa looked down at her feet. David stared at the counter like it might offer another version of this moment. And then Grandma spoke, barely above a whisper. You let me believe my granddaughter stole from me. She wasn't looking at anyone, not even me. You told me not to come home, I said, voice tighter now. And none of you ever asked if I did it. That was the real betrayal, not the accusation, not the silence, but that no one thought to ask. Lisa finally looked up. Her expression wasn't guilt. It was resentment. You always get everything. she said bitterly. The job, the praise, the respect. I just wanted to level the field. I studied her. She looked older now. Or maybe I was just seeing her clearly for the first time. You didn't level anything. You set fire to it. David cleared his throat. She'll be fine, Grandma. Marissa makes more than all of us. It wasn't personal. I exhaled slowly, the chill crawling up my spine. It's always personal when it's family. I watched Grandma sink into a chair, the folders still open in front of her. Grandma's hands rested in her lap, palms up, like she didn't know what to do with them. Dad finally spoke. Marissa, what are you going to do? I met his eyes. For the first time in days, I didn't feel like the child in the room. I'm not pressing charges, I said. But I sent the file to the family attorney. You can decide what to do with it. Calm, with 350 characters. He nodded once. Older than I remembered. I zipped the folder closed. My hands moved automatically, years of courtrooms and case files guiding the motion. This time, it felt like closing a door. You told me not to come back unless I returned the money, I said. I didn't take the money, but I brought the truth. I waited just long enough for the words to land, then I turned. Right, Grandma's voice cracked. I paused at the door. Thanksgiving's over, I said. You all made sure of that. I didn't take the folder, didn't take the pie, just my keys. And whatever part of me still believed they'd ever have chosen me. I didn't drive off right away. I sat in the car, watching the kitchen window. No one followed. The lights stayed on. Lisa didn't laugh. David didn't speak. No one came outside. And that silence told me everything. Back in Boston, the city felt sharper, quieter. I returned to work like nothing had happened, but I stopped calling on Sundays. Ignored the family group chat. Let a voicemail sit for 3 days before playing it. It was Grandma. Marissa, we were wrong. I didn't want to believe it. I'm sorry. I don't expect forgiveness. The house feels empty. She hung up before the minute mark. 2 weeks later, a letter came. Inside, a photo of me, Lisa, and David on the back porch in Halloween costumes. No note. Just this. We didn't know how much we'd miss you until you were gone. No signature. David never reached out. Lisa didn't either. But a cousin told me they both moved out. Grandma stopped talking to them. Said she needed space. I didn't ask. I didn't offer to come back. Instead, I made something new. I launched a weekend seminar at the community college. Financial protection for older adults. Not glamorous, but it was mine. It mattered. One Saturday after class, an older woman took my hand and said, I wish I had a daughter like you. I smiled gently. Didn't say what I was thinking. So did mine, once. December came and went. No tree, no calls, no ornament exchange. There's a kind of grief no one prepares you for. The kind that comes when the people you love choose someone else's version of you. And once they make that choice, they can't take it back. I still keep the folder. Not in my office. Just in a drawer beneath old tax returns and my mortgage copy. Haven't opened it since that night. I don't need to. Because the facts haven't changed. And neither have I. Tell me, have you ever been blamed for something you didn't do? What did you say? What did you wish you'd said? I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. Share your story below. I'm listening. Because sometimes strangers understand more than family ever could.